Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Reds Rundown podcast, hosted by two lifelong Reds fans and journalists. I'm Rob, he's Joe, and we appreciate you taking the time to join us today. Joe, wow, what a weekend, at least for the Reds. How was your weekend?
It was pretty good. Excited to have the Reds win some games and excited to have some nice weather out here, Rob.
Yeah, it's been beautiful here in Cincinnati for the most part. So we did have, that tornadic weather, that obviously hit south of us pretty hard. So thoughts and prayers to all of those people down there dealing with that. It wasn't too bad here. I don't know about you, Joe, but up north we just got some really weird hail. That was about it.
It wasn't bad down here either. I heard there's people in Kentucky who got pretty bad tornadoes, so thoughts and prayers with them. There's a lot of people in Reds country who got affected by this, but hopefully things will get better here soon.
Yeah, we hope so, and yeah, if you are a Reds fan down there, we hope all is well. We'll get into the question of the day, though, Joe. It's gonna be: is Will Benson back? In your estimation, he had one heck of a weekend, to say the least. We'll get into him a little bit later on in this show, but we'd like to know from you guys. Let us know in the comments below. But let's hop into the games this past week, Joe. The Reds started off against I would call them not hapless White Sox. They are not as bad as they were last year, and I'm not just saying that based on the results of what happened with the Reds. It does seem like the White Sox play Red teams very well, as that is the majority of their wins this year. But the Reds would start off with a 5-1 just back-breaking loss. The Reds would come back, tie it up in the ninth after just an awful game. Elly De La Cruz would hit an absolute missile in the ninth inning to blow the save. But Emilio Pagan would unfortunately come in, give up 4 runs, and arguably his worst outing of the year. The Reds would not be able to come back. They would lose 5-1. Then, the next night, the Reds would lose 4-2. They would try coming back, but they were down 4-0 before they would score anything. Spencer Steer would hit a home run in the 7th to get the scoring started. Doubles by Steer, Lux, Elly, and Hayes. None of them would materialize into runs. Nick Lodolo would go 5 1/3, only giving up 3 earned runs. 4 strikeouts and 1 home run. Scott Barlow would also give up a solo home run in his inning of work. Inning and 2/3, excuse me. Brent Suter and Lyon Richardson would come in to shut it down. But it felt like, Joe, the Reds were about to get swept out of their own building by a team that has absolutely no right in sweeping them whatsoever. But the Reds would come out during the Wednesday day game, and things would start to heat up thanks to Will Benson. This would start his little streak that he had here. A couple big hits, 3 RBIs from him. Elly with some hits, Lux with some hits. Matt McLain moved down in the order and would get some hits. And Nick Martinez was absolutely outstanding. 7 innings pitched, 2 hits, given up 3 strikeouts. Taylor Rogers would come in and give up 1 lone run, but Luis May would also continue his tear. Another inning, 2 strikeouts, lowering his ERA to a 1.23. Fun number to say. Joe, this White Sox series was stressful. I had to turn it off at different points. I still followed on my phone, but I just was too mad. As you probably know me well enough to know that was it was getting bad.
Yeah, it was tough to watch just because of how bad the White Sox are as a
Mm-hmm.
team and how we had like the first game it felt like we really had it, and then the second game, you know, 4-2 loss. And it just like the offense kept on sputtering. We had that big explosion against the Astros last week, and then like for the most part, the rest of the last couple of weeks has been no offense, and that's just been what the Reds have been the last couple of years. A lot of inconsistencies. They were a team last year that hit home runs, but they weren't like a power team. And this year they're trying to do home runs and average, and they really needed a lift, and you could tell that by the Wednesday game. I was in attendance, or sorry, the Thursday game. Sorry, I have my days mixed up
Yeah,
there.
me too.
But I I went to the game Thursday. I brought the energy, and that's when they started turning this thing around. Undefeated since. We're going to get to the Guardian series here in a second, but yeah, Will Benson, I think, provided some energy and some power. I think when he is playing well, he is a spark plug for the whole team.
Mm-hmm.
We just see that at all last season. So this was the start of it. I'm sure we'll talk about more about Will Benson later, so I'm not going to get too much into it. But I think it was cool to see they kind of like backs up against the wall for the whole pretty much season. I know I said if they didn't get 4 wins this week that they were done. And they came out and proved it on Thursday that they get the job done against a bad White Sox team. So I was still kind of wondering. I don't know about you, Rob, but I was thinking, okay, Guardians will probably win one of the two, and then the season will be over anyway. But they battled back, and that's impressive.
Yeah, I mean, look, you could not walk out of this without two wins, really. But they got the one, they salvaged it, I would say. And it was a weird series because they actually were getting some hits. They were just, they weren't connecting for home runs. They were not stringing them together. They were still making weird decisions. And it's just frustrating. And I think I tweeted this during the Tuesday game against the White Sox, Joe. It's got to be really hard to be a Reds pitcher right now when they're, going through their inconsistencies like this. I mean, you give up one run in the fourth inning and you feel like the game is over potentially, as Andrew Abbott. And that's got to not feel great, right? I mean, 6 innings pitched, 1 run, 4 hits on 7 Ks. Most of the time, that's a winning line. Most of the time that you are going to win, I would say the majority of the time, not even most. I would say 9 times out of 10, you should be winning those kinds of games. But this offense is just so inept at times. It's really hard. And you had just weird decisions. Spencer Steer in this game had an opportunity to, put the Reds up. I think it would have been 2-0. No, they would have had an earlier run. They would get one in the 9th, but tie the game up, and he's caught in no man's land. Just commit one way or the other. And try to make this guy make an awkward throw. Instead, he runs back to third base. Connor Joe gets caught. After a big double. Trying to get to third base for no reason, and then Ellie comes up and hits a freaking home run, and you're like, well, if Connor Joe had not gotten out there, they win the game. And so it's just these little mistakes. What's sad is that these little mistakes, and I think this series exemplified it, they add up, right? And you can be a good team and make mistakes. It happens. They're human. We can't expect them to play perfectly all the time. But the margin for error is just so low for this Reds team that it's really killing them right now, Joe. And this series was really, again, I'm glad that they won the 7-1 game. It still felt like, man, I hope they don't let them back in it. But Nick Martinez just shut the door and really never gave the White Sox an opportunity to. But you had to sit there and kind of wonder, why can't this team just perform even a little bit better? We've talked about it. 4 runs gets them a sweep of this series, Joe. 4 runs a game. That's all we're asking for. And this feels like a monumental task that they are not up to.
No, it really does feel like it's like I said before, it's all the runs are in one game for a week, and then they're gone the rest of the week. And something that plagued them last year, and that inconsistency could end up being the nail in the coffin this year. It seems like right now they're on a good roll, but that could easily change here. And I just don't know. The pitching is very good. The bullpen's been better than expected this year. There's going to be times where they blow things, and I don't know how long they can hold up the rest of the season just because how much pressure is on them on a day-by-day basis just to make sure they keep the other team from scoring. Hey, you have to score 2 or 3 runs and maybe give us a chance. Otherwise, it's pretty much a loss in certain games. So there's a lot of pressure on them. You're right. The base running mistakes are frustrating. I know Tito had mentioned that a lot of guys are pressing, trying to make things happen. That's what he mentioned about Connor Joe.
Mm-hmm.
This Connor Joe steal was kind of inexplicable why you would choose to do that. Spencer Steer, deer in the headlights, terrible decision, and they need to clean this stuff up. This is why David Bell was fired, was some of this base running and terrible decisions making by some of the players. And I think Tito is slowly working his way into getting through to these guys, but at the same time doing a good job of. I know, Rob, if you were in that clubhouse, you'd be throwing things. I know after this series, he said that, or I think after the second game of the series, he said I can't go in there and throw things. They want to have to play. They have to play for me every day. They don't want to have to play for a manager who's angry and mean all the time. And I think sometimes you do need that spark plug of a manager who's going to try to hold people accountable and kind of yell and get people motivated. But I think in another way, maybe his patience will pay off. We'll see if they can keep this thing going. But that's definitely something I kind of took from this is the base running errors. I think he did hold them accountable for it and did talk to him about it, but it wasn't, hey, you're being sent down because you made one stupid decision stealing third or Spencer Steer going halfway down the line on a ball that was clearly not going to score you. So That's what I've kind of took from it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I want to give one quick thing as well to all you Reds fans out there. Do not blame this bullpen in one-run games when it's 1-0. It's really hard to be in that situation as much as the Reds have been. They are going to blow sometimes. This offense should be good enough. Almost all major league offenses should be good enough to score at least 3 runs in a game. That's kind of why a 3 ERA is the accepted standard, right, for a really, really good pitcher. So I just want to say, like, it was really frustrating. I got some calls and some texts this week, Joe, about, oh, this bullpen stinks. I can't believe they blew that game on Tuesday. And I'm like, did you watch the game? Did you really watch it? Because I don't think you did. If you did, then you wouldn't be feeling that way. This offense was anemic against not great pitching. So, yeah, just a little something I had to get off my chest. Let's get into the Guardians series, though. A much more, I don't know how else to describe it other than excited. Great series for the Reds. Exciting, I guess would be a better way to put it. The Reds would win 5-4 on Friday, Joe. They play well in those black uniforms, I'm telling you what. The Reds would get up early, 4-0 in the second inning. Big home runs by Will Benson. They would get another one by Austin Hayes. I believe it's Shane Bybee, if I remember correctly. He struggled early on. He would settle in. Brady Singer would have a kind of a bounce back game. He was horrible last week, 7 runs in 2 1/3 inning. He'd only give up 3 this time in 5. He would walk 3 guys, but strike out 4. He's kind of falling into what we would expect, which is about 3 runs a game. The bullpen would mostly hold it down. Tony Santillan would give up a solo home run. That would make things very interesting in the 9th inning, but Emilio Pagan would come in, shut it down, get his 10th save of the year, and the Reds were what they would call on a winning streak of 2 games, getting themselves closer to the 500 mark. Then they would play again Saturday, as they do, and the Reds would actually start to kind of get it together here later in the game. Will Benson would hit yet another home run. Rhys Hines would also hit an absolutely mammoth shot, something that I think we're kind of expecting to see every time he actually does make contact with the ball. Hits from pretty much everybody in the lineup, except for Elly De La Cruz in this one. But it was a bullpen game and a big one. Brent Suter continues to get it done when asked in whatever kind of situation they need him to. 3 innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 strikeout, no runs given up. Lyon Richardson would give up the lone run, but Luis May would come in yet again, another strikeout. Graham Ashcraft looked electric. And then you have that crew, Ashcraft into Santillan, into Pagan, and Pagan would get yet another save. No hits, no walks, and he'd lower that ERA yet again. And we'd head into Sunday, Joe, and we were hoping, praying, could the Reds really sweep the Guardians at home? And they would. They would win 3-0. Will Benson literally carrying the offense almost single-handedly this weekend. 2 big home runs off of Ortiz, a 2-run and a solo home run. Andrew Abbott struggled mightily in the first inning. I think he had 28 or 29 pitches, but he would settle down and still get to 5 innings with only 4 hits. 2 of his 3 walks were in the first inning and a hit batsman. 5 strikeouts, lowering his ERA to a 1.80. The rest of the team would kind of hold it down here. Things would get a little bit spicy there at the end. The Reds would go to Santillan and Pagan for a 3rd straight day. And Pagan would lock it down after giving up a leadoff double to sweep away the Guardians. Cleveland, get on out of here, Joe. The Reds are back up to 500, which felt like an impossibility. You tweeted out after, I believe it was the Wednesday White Sox game, that the Reds had to win 4 games, or it might have been the first game of the series for the White Sox. That the Reds had to win 4 or 5, I believe is what you said, for them to still be in it. And lo and behold, Joe, they took on the mighty AL Central that had been absolutely on fire. The Twins still are. And they won. They took care of business.
They did. And you know, I know people want to say, like, maybe that's overreacting, but when you have this easy of a schedule to start the year, you have to at least be 500 at this point. We have the Pirates coming up, so maybe we can do a little bit better than 500 here coming up. But that's kind of what I took away from last year when we really really struggled in May, and then we could never really get back. This team is better than last year's team, obviously record wise, but I think just talent wise as well. And this was a huge series. Now, a couple things I will point out, Rob. I love Brady Singer, man. Like, he's not had the greatest year. He's 5.01 ERA, but for like 9 out of 10 starts, if you need him to stay in the game and keep a lead, he will do it. Like,
Yep.
5.01 ERA because he has a great run support. But there's games where he needs to give up 1 run and the team scores 2. There's times where, I think in this last game against the Guardians, he gave up 2 in the 4th when they were already up by 4. But he never lets the game get away other than, I think, 1 or 2 this year. So as our weak link in the starting rotation, it's nice to have a guy who just kind of plays through the game. A little bit kind of weary about him through the future playing up and down to the competition, but at the same time, like, if you need, it's like one of those guys where it's like if you need him to kind of adjust to how the game is going, he will. Other than that, Santiago Espinal, really cool fake bunt, pulled it back, got that hit. Guy is so important. I know we're going to talk about lineup here in a little bit, but that guy still needs to be in the lineup every single day, batting 279 and helping in so many ways more than just timely hits and just willing to go the other way with the ball, which is something that's a lost art. We have Will Benson getting all these home runs against his former team, which we talked about. It was a very good series for this rivalry weekend, even though I don't really consider the Guardians rivals. And like you said, it just had to happen. Like, if you lose this game, you go 500 in this week where you played the White Sox, and I know the Guardians are a little bit better, but I think they're not as good as the record says they are either, to be honest. I think that's really kind of a nail in the coffin because then you got all these big tough games coming up. I mean, by the end of this next month, I mean, honestly, from starting now after the Pirates series from May 23rd up until like I guess like the end of June is going to be all tough games, a lot of big teams, a lot of teams that like, you might look at the schedule and say, hey, the Tigers are coming up. Tigers are freaking good this year, man. So as they were last year. So it's pretty much through that Padres, Red Sox, Philadelphia, Philly series at the kind of beginning of July. It's going to be tough sledding. So they needed to capitalize. They did in a weird way that is only fitting of the Reds to beat the team we didn't expect them to beat and to lose to the team that we did expect them to beat. But it gets things back on track, and we'll see if they can kind of keep this energy that Will Benson has brought them going for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. And I think that I think Tito is getting more and more comfortable with this lineup, with this team, right? Figuring out when to push people and when not to. Like, I would not really expect to see Emilio Pagan or Tony Santillan in our next games. They're going to need a little bit of a break. Does that mean that he goes to Luis May? But he's also pitched a lot lately, or Graham Ashcraft. Like, they've had a lot of guys who've had to kind of come in lately and be clutch because the starting pitching had been so good, then not. I do want to give a shout out to Singer as well, just because I think he is that guy. We talked about this at the beginning of the year, Joe. He's that guy who's probably going to have close to like a 4 ERA, right, by the end of the season, but he is going to keep you in games, and he is going to eat innings. He's doing exactly what the Reds, signed up for. What's going to be really interesting, Joe, is when we talk about these injuries and we start getting some of these young guys coming back, what is going to happen, right? Even Wade Miley is on his way back, it sounds like. So there will be options. We will not, no longer have to go to the Chase Petties or I can't remember who else, Carson Spires, right, to come in, although Carson had actually pitched relatively well during his time here before the injury. So we'll have to see. But I am I hate it. You think you're out, and then they just bring you right back, Joe. Every freaking time. I really was. I was ready to just be like, well, this is going to be a miserable summer. And now that it's like, well, they're about to play the Pirates, and the Pirates have been pretty bad. We'll talk about them here in a minute. Let's go into the injuries. Rhett Lauder could be ready by June. He already had his first outing in AAA. Did not go very well, but he has also not pitched in a while, so that's fine. He's going to pitch in Dayton, I believe, again this week. I think they're going to really take their time. I think they are going to use that injured list for as long as they can with Rhett until probably somebody gets hurt again, and then they will bring him in. Gavin Lux, I know he played, but he will be watching his back spasms, see if that becomes a potential problem. Hunter Green is looking like he's going to be back for his next start. The 35 pitches, from what the broadcast was saying, went well. I believe it was on the 17th. I don't know. It might have been yesterday as well. But it's looking more and more likely that he will be back for that May 23rd start. Noelvi Marte is also ahead of schedule. They moved his MRI up almost 2 weeks, I believe, just because it sounds like he's getting healthy. They expect him to be back soon. Jamer Candelario was sent to Arizona to start working on his swing again after the back injury. I put in quotations there. CES has started working off a tee in Arizona as well. We'll talk about the Arizona guys here in just a second, Joe. Ian Jabot has been in AAA. I've not really looked and seen what he has done. Feels like the next potential bullpen injury, he'll be the guy to get pulled up here. Jake Fraley, I've not really seen much of an update on, other than I saw that he was bleeding in his upper thigh somewhere, so that was interesting. And then Sam Mole has also seemingly been kind of just stuck down there in AAA. I really think Luis May has come up and solidified himself, and it's going to be up to either injuries or other people to kind of get those spots back the way this bullpen has been lately. But let's quickly talk about Candy and CES, Joe. Just a brief one here, but I'm just going to tell you guys right now, when they send somebody back to Arizona, all the way back to Arizona for a 10-day injury, that means that they are getting sent back there to get their minds off of baseball, like Reds baseball, and just work on them most of the time, right? If you have a normal injury, you're with the team, and you are getting sent to AA or AAA to start a rehab assignment, these guys are clearly being sent to Arizona to work with hitting instructors and refigure out their swing, because I will be totally honest with you, Joe. I don't know where they are going to play once they are healthy, with the way that things are starting to kind of solidify here with Marte and with Benson. We'll get into those here in a second. But I wanted to kind of throw that out there, see if you feel the same way. Maybe that's just me.
Yeah, it's the injury issues are, I think, interesting to me, because I think other than Marte, the other guys have to kind of prove their way back.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's kind of interesting about going to Arizona, or some of these guys like Jake Fraley we haven't an update on in a while. You kind of have to go for the hot hand. So unless someone at the major league level stumbles, or unless these guys go down and have a Will Benson like AAA experience, it's going to be interesting to see how they kind of mix them all together. I kind of think there's not enough. It's weird to say for a team that has guys batting in the 100s still playing a lot, but they might need to make a move and actually get a better bat, because they have like so many guys they need to get at bats for, and there's not enough spaces. So that's something I'm considering too. Is like Marte can have his spot back at third. Hunter Green obviously mentioned him that he's going to be back too, but everyone else, like even Rhett Lauder, who pitched well for us last year, like there's not a spot for you. I don't know what to tell you. Like everyone else is playing pretty well. So are you going to move to the bullpen? Or are you going to stay at AAA? That's what I think is like the most interesting thing about this Reds team, is like the guys who are injured right now, other than those two I mentioned, are like, where's the spot for you? Are you going to come up and take someone we really like spot on the Reds? Like, because yeah, Spencer Steer and Matt McClain are doing maybe a little bit better, but like not as great as you think. But other guys, like you can't send Will Benson down now. Reese Hines is getting some power at bats, which is good. So I don't know. I think this is probably how this is handled. I'm sure other players will get injured and make it easier to deal with. Of like, oh, okay, well this guy comes up and that guy goes down, and that guy goes to the IL. But like, this is like tough decisions, but it's not in like a good way either. Like it's like good because Will Benson's playing well now, but like there's so many guys who maybe haven't performed this year, or maybe I've had questions about their injury history coming back into the lineup, and I don't know. It's gonna be wild to see what they do. Like Will Benson's playing well in right field now. Jake Fraley was playing better after a bad first couple weeks. Like I guess Fraley's out now, so there's so much to be decided, and I don't know. I think maybe a trade here might come, kind of make it easier too. I would hope a trade would come, to be honest, to get another bat, but having one great bat is better than having two solid bats. So that's what I would say, is they might need to do something like that, because otherwise you're going to have guys on the bench getting cold. You're going to be tough to get playing time, especially when you have, I mean, if we're saying right now that Steer and McClain need to be everyday players, which I'm still saying for the time being, you have about 10 guys you need to get at bat, maybe 11 guys you need to get at bats, and that's just tough to do. It's not like there's like for sure backups who just come in to get some defensive substitutions. There's guys who are really playing well and need to get those at bats. If those two guys stay in lineup, if they continue to not get above 200, then there's a different conversation to be had. But I don't know. This injury thing has probably been the most interesting thing I think we've seen the Reds have to deal with in a long time. And I'm excited to see maybe some of these guys go back to AAA and see if they can play well. You mentioned Ian Jabo, Rob. He is, I think, 4 appearances in AAA. He has 0 earned runs allowed, so might be coming back up soon.
He might be, yeah.
And well, no, it's great because, like, you're right. The bullpen deserves no criticism. I'd say how Terry has used it at times has been interesting. This week, I think he did a very good job. There are guys that maybe have inflated ERAs, and he's like apologized to them for like leaving them out there too long. It's a little leaky at the bottom. Like your last guy or two, it seems like maybe not the greatest, but the guys they have relied on are good. So if you do get Ian Jabo back, if Sam Ball turns into anything after AAA stint, it would make him better, but again, it's still limited spots, which is crazy. It's just, the Reds have a lot of like average, decent players, and they just need maybe a couple more stars. And maybe some of these guys who come back from injury can be that, but it's gonna be tough to do.
Yeah, and I mean they've got potential burgeoning stars as well, guys who could be like, I mean, could Luis May, Tony Santillan, Graham Ashcraft, guys who are relatively new to this year's bullpen, right? Santillan came in last year, but are they going to be the guys who become that, true back end, right? Like the way Luis May is throwing right now, is he the next closer, right? Is Santillan like? I don't think Graham is, but like they've looked excellent this year for the most part. It's really been fun to watch this bullpen. I don't remember the last time I felt this good about a bullpen, Joe, was in like the 2012, 2014 seasons, like that when they were good. And what's crazy is their rotation is still really good. So it's like, I really agree with you. I think that they're at a point where we may be saying some hard goodbyes to people here over the next couple months because I just think that they are going to have to go get somebody. Like, go get a star. There are teams that are struggling way more than they should be. Like the Orioles, maybe. They need pitching. We need bats. Go get one of their guys. Like, seriously, they've got really good hitters. They probably might be willing to give up somebody if they could actually get a really good pitcher. I don't know who it's going to be, but could they make that work? I think that they could talk about it, right? Especially because they'd probably want a future pitcher. So it's like, I don't know exactly how that would work, Joe, but I know that they also have some guys down in AAA who could be up on this roster. I don't know. I would really love to see them kind of make a move like that. I think the Orioles may be secret, like partial sellers here really soon. They just fired their manager. Felt like they were on the upswing, but their pitching has just been so god-awful that they can't really do much else. So I would love to see the Reds maybe find a way to connect there with them because I think you're right. The problem right now is that we have a lot of guys, but we don't have a guy right now. Like we thought Ellie was going to be that guy. He's really not been this year. He's not been bad, but he's just not been like that stud, right? I would say the closest that we've had to that when healthy is Austin Hayes. And even he is still kind of, he's just a really, really good player. But we are having guys right now who are just going to kind of be cloggers, I'll call it, where they're good, but they're not proving it or, they're going to get taken over by the next guy who just starts, having the hot hand. So we'll have to see. I'm really interested. This was, I think, a much better conversation than I was expecting with the injury update, but I'm glad that we had it, Joe, because I think this will spill into a little bit of the Benson and lineup stuff. Will Benson, my goodness, this week, Joe, I don't know what else to say. I mean, he was outstanding. 5 home runs, 10 RBIs. He's walking a good bit. He had those 4 strikeouts in his first game. He's had 5 since. He's looking better. He stole a base. He looked great doing it. He's getting more hits than just home runs, right? He's had some nice doubles down the line. I think he has the ability to hit to the opposite field, but I think so many people are pitching him inside right now that he doesn't need to. He's hitting in bad counts, right? An 0-2, 1-2. Both of his home runs on Sunday were with 2 strikes. People are going to probably stop throwing him that slider down and in. I think he is just going to continue to crush that ball. I expect people to start going back to the up and in fastball, which with his new swing, he may be able to get to that a little bit faster. We'll have to see. I think people will start to pitch him away a little bit as well. But He played very well this weekend, Joe. He's even made some great catches in the outfield. I don't know, dude. It was just really nice to see. I'm happy because, he's one of those guys who you want to root for. He really is. He seems like a great guy. He does bring so much energy. We talked about it. They need even just like a spark plug leader. They can have that kind of more quiet, reserved leader, but they need that guy who's going to get in their face. Every home run he has hit, he is flipping the bat and he is yelling at the bench, and I freaking love it. Bring that energy. Give us more. This man single-handedly carried all 4 games almost, along with the pitching, but at least in the lineup, right? And it wasn't just the home runs. He had a huge single with guys on base. Like the mean will come back. Like he will go back to being maybe that 280 player that we saw in 2023. But if he's even that, dude, this team may be in a really good spot.
It could be. And again, we talked about it last year a lot, Rob. Organizational malpractice that he was with the majors as long as he was. He needed to be in the minors. So everyone who was like, oh, bring him up after a week or two or bring him up. It's like, no, he definitely needed that time to build his confidence up, to keep on working on his new approach at the plate.
Yep.
This is like, I mean, it's kind of cheesy to say everything happens for a reason, but he needed that. He needed it last year too, and it didn't happen. So I know me and you were both on like, hey, don't get rid of Will Benson, but at the same time, don't play a major league at bats. That's not smart. So he fixed a lot. The most impressive thing, I think, is there's a couple of things with it. Historically, he's been better at hitting fastballs. This year, he is doing better hitting breaking balls and off speed. He has a 267 batting average against fastballs, 500 batting average against breaking balls, and 429 against off-speed pitches. Power numbers also reflect that he is hitting breaking balls better this year. He has 4 home runs on breaking balls, just 1 on fastballs. He's doing a good job. It's something we mentioned that other Reds are not doing, where if balls are left over the plate, he's taking advantage, specifically in that game yesterday where he hit the 2 home runs. Just sweepers and breaking balls that were over the plate, and he crushed it. And I think this is a new approach for him. I think you're right, Rob, pitchers will figure him out. And like, hey, last year you probably could throw more breaking balls over the middle of the plate, and he would not touch them. Now you have to locate better with your breaking balls, and he's still a threat with the hitting the fastballs too. So he's seeing a less percentage of fastballs than he did last season, but he's still doing really well hitting the ball. So I'm excited to see this new approach. And it's going to be, hey, Will Benson, you start every day until you cool off for me. He will cool off, and then you can maybe be more of a I wouldn't say starting every day type of guy, but like a bench plus guy and see how it goes. But it really has helped, I think, just his approach at the plate and just almost like a see the ball, hit the ball type of thing where, hey, if you have a ball over the middle, you have time to adjust even to a breaking ball, go put some power on it, man, because that's all that's happening right now. So if the rest of the Reds can take some advice from Will Benson and what he's done, it's like, hey, maybe change your approach at the plate a little bit means a little bit more. Maybe change your stance a little bit, but at the end of the day, someone throws you something down the middle, which I don't know if you, Rob, I'm still frustrated with their other Reds. There's balls right down the middle. We're either swinging and missing badly or they're just not even swinging, and that's really frustrating. So I'm excited to see if that approach is maybe contagious for the rest of the team. But yeah, excited to see what he can do this week against the Pirates to start and see if he can keep this streak up of 4 straight games. And like I said, he deserves to stay in the lineup until he stops hitting home runs.
Well, I mean, let's be honest here. Even without it, I mean, this guy is struck out 5 times in 8 games. He's not even striking out, once a game right now. I mean, Ellie struck out almost that many times in 1 game this week. So, again, this is not a crap on Ellie's show. It's just a comparison. Like, it's just, I think, an honest comparison. And, this is what we saw. I'll go back to that 2023 season. I love, what is so interesting to me is this feels like that 2023 season with him specifically, where they sent him down, they brought him up, he didn't look good for a second, they sent him back down again, right? And he came back up and was just electric, right? I mean, 108 games, 11 home runs, 15 doubles. He batted 275. He was striking out less than once per game. He was walking a good amount. His OPS, was 863, which is absolutely awesome. His OPS plus, which generally, if you're above like 95, is really, you're an above average player. He was 128. His WAR was a 1.6. He has a .9 WAR in 9 games, Joe. That is unbelievable. He will not stay that hot, but like we have to reiterate that he's not going to stay that hot. But he's playing really, really well. He's a good defender. He's not a great defender, but he's a good defender as well. If he can solidify this lineup and be kind of the guy that they've always hoped that he could be, it makes this team that much better. Same way that we saw it with Noel V. Marte, right? Like, I think they've actually missed him in the lineup since he was hurt, right? And when Austin Hayes went down, like, they're starting to kind of piece everything back together. And that's where we're going to talk now about this lineup solidifying, Joe. The one thing I will say that I saw this week is that this team is being more aggressive early in the counts, especially in these last 4 games. One of my big critiques was that they were just watching weird pitches. They weren't making, decisive actions with their at-bats. This is not saying I don't want them to walk. I want them to see pitches in the right situations, but they are, I feel like, kind of going maybe even a little too far, but they are starting to go back towards, like, let's be aggressive, let's get on some of these pitches early, because I think they're seeing so many good pitches early and they're just leaving them, to strike out later in the at-bats, right? But this has been interesting. Ellie had a couple more home runs in the last week. Yes, his batting average went down a little bit, but I'm okay with that if this guy's going to hit 40-plus home runs and bat 250. I'd rather him do that than this 270 stuff where he's still striking out pretty much the same amount. I'd rather him hit for a little bit more power. Matt McLain had more contact. I'm still very worried about the fact, Joe, I don't know if you've noticed this, if the fastball is above 95 miles an hour and it is like, a little bit above the belly high and up, he is not going to hit it for some reason, which is wild to me. Whenever he does start hitting that ball, because he will, this man's going to explode. But for right now, it doesn't look great there. Spencer Steer has more contact. We already talked about Benson. This lineup, Joe, I'm going to go through it real quick, is starting to look better. TJ Friedel, I think, has been a solid leadoff guy. I don't care what anybody says. He'll go through slumps like anybody else, but it seems like he's going to be that guy who's going to hit 280 or above. He's going to give you the opportunities with bunts, with his sneaky speed, all that. Then, somewhere in that 2-hole, Espinal, Gavin Lux, I think you can kind of flip them back and forth just depending on the day. Ellie, Hayes, Benson coming in and being a power bat in that 5, 6, 7 area. Spencer Steer is kind of solidifying himself at first base a little bit. He's been hitting better. I'll go over that here in just a second as well. Noel V. Marte when he comes back at third. Matt McLain at second base. And then you have Stevenson and Trevino splitting some time at catcher. Trevino's been the best player in terms of WAR on this team so far this season. Matt McLain is batting .261 over his last 7 games. 6 hits with a home run. He's still striking out an absurd amount. He's walking a little bit less, but he's at least making contact, and I think that is good. Spencer Steer is batting .333 over his last 7 games. 8 hits and 24 at-bats with a home run. 6 strikeouts. No walks, which is not great. He was walking a little bit more before then, but he is starting to find his swing a little bit more. He is batting almost .210 now, Joe, after what was an abysmal start to the season. And even Matt McLain, who was batting in like the 150s at one point, is batting .183 now. So how do you feel about this lineup, Joe? It feels like they are starting to kind of figure things out a little bit more. Tito is starting to kind of move people around where they need to be, right? I think dropping Matt McLain down to 8th in the order has been a game changer for him specifically. We all saw that he and Steer, they have been very unlucky. I think that's going to continue to change. I saw even a couple more times this weekend where Matt McLain stung the ball and it just went to the center fielder or went to the shortstop, right? Like, those balls will start to fall. I think Matt McLain will start to kind of, get back up. I wouldn't be surprised if he's batting .240, .250 by the end of the season, to be honest with you, with the way that it's starting to look. As long as he can catch up to that fastball eventually, too, I think he can kind of make his way back up there. He's not too deep in the hole in terms of at-bats. He's still got like 300 left to get through the whole season. So, Joe, I mean, how are you feeling about the lineup? I'm not going to be like, oh, they're all the way back. This is such a great lineup now. I still think they could probably use one more hitter. But for the guys they have right now, it feels like they're starting to slot in and do a little bit better.
Yeah, it was all Tito changing the order. McLain has settled in since he moved down in the order. I'm hoping it's just, it's not just that he's playing the White Sox this week where most of his hits came from. I think he was 2 of 10 against the Guardians.
Yep.
Which is still better than he had done this year, to be honest. So there's that.
That is true.
Yeah, you have guys like Espinal playing well. You got to play him up in the order. I think it will be more of split time when Marte comes back between him, Espinal, and Lux, and find a way to get all those guys in the lineup, whether it's, infield, outfield, of them maybe learning first base, playing first base. There's still some like decisions with the lineup that I'm kind of questioning. Like Connor Joe's still playing against right-handed pitching so far, and that's kind of like I don't
It's weird.
understand that, but I like him as a player, but I don't think that's really what we have him for. And he might be one of those guys we say goodbye to, even though he's played pretty decently for us,
Yeah.
other than the bad decision making running the bases. But yeah, I think it's a good lineup. Again, I think it's right now. I think the biggest problem is we have. I think we have better averages than last year, but we still don't have like that hitter that people fear. Gavin Lux, slap hitter, that's fine. I'm fine with the average, but Ellie being what he is, 246 average now. It seems week to week we talk about his average fluctuating from about 240 all the way up to 270 to 240 to 270. Um, there is like we need him to be better. I'm not gonna sit here and shit on him like you mentioned earlier. Rob, we're not gonna do that, but we do need a little bit more of a presence. Austin Hayes when he's available has been good, but we need that guy. We need a star in the lineup, and if it could be him and Hayes, that's great. But I'll tell you, man, there's plenty of young stars in baseball, and a lot of them are passing by Ellie De La Cruz right now. We're gonna talk about the Cubs in a little bit. They have a player who's passed Ellie De La Cruz for the season so far, and it's there's tons of them who are doing that, and there's other guys who are struggling too. But the power coming back is nice. Let's see if we can kind of get something going here. Get them back up to 270, maybe with the power a little bit going too. They're when we get everyone healthy, there's way more protection in the lineup now that we have Hayes back. Now that we have Benson hitting the ball, that is what I would say. Is there's a lot of good hitters on this team. We just need Hayes and Ellie to be stars, and maybe go find another star bat because, like I said earlier, there's too many bats for the spots we have. Maybe we need to go trade someone like Noelvi Marte and try to get a more solidified bat. I don't know if I really love that, but everyone else on the team doesn't have as much value, like Espinal and Lux, who also are fighting for some of the same playing time at third base and DH or whatever. You're not going to get much back for them. So there's going to be some interesting, I think, trade talks here if the Reds continue to win because I like the lineup. I think there's a lot of average to above average hitters right now. I think Hayes has been pretty good. And if we can get Ellie hitting like we know he can, then you have two real threats in the lineup with some guys who hit for contact ahead of them. That's where you start getting into some danger zone. And if you add one more bat to that lineup, it really becomes a dangerous lineup.
Yeah, it's really sad because it's like I really genuinely believe that they are one bat away, right? And it's got to either be McLean or Steer or Benson or Marte, where they kind of come into the potential that we've all thought that they have. Because if McLean goes back to hitting what he was in 2023, if Benson goes back to hitting what he was in 2023, then maybe you don't need a bat. I mean, you should still try to go get one. You have a plethora of pitching, in my opinion, Joe. You don't necessarily need to worry about stunting growth too much at that point, to be honest with you. You can always move Steer to DH and go get a really good first base, hitter, right? I don't know. There are people out there who they could definitely go get. We'll maybe do that once we get a little bit closer here. But it's like, I'm telling you, Joe, if they found one guy who could hit 30 home runs, bat 280 through the rest of the season, this lineup, this team becomes a very hard team to beat because their pitching has been that good, and they've got the support pieces around them to help, and that will help Ellie, that will help Austin Hayes, right, for the future. So I'm hopeful that they will go out and make a move here soon. I think there are teams who are ready to kind of sell, and there are bats that they could go out there and find from those teams who are willing to sell. And we'll kind of take a look here at the standings with that, Joe, because I did want to talk real quickly about, are they really back in? Because we're talking about it now like they are in all reality, right? We're talking about, hey, if they go get one more bat, then this team can, I think, be that team that we think they can be. And so, the Reds right now in the division are 4.5 games back of Chicago. I know that I was looking at it. The number was very deceptive. The fact that the Cubs are 9 games above 500 and the Reds are at 500. But that's how it works. You beat them, they lose one game, whatever. Like, you can come back, even from that kind of a deficit, especially if the Reds can take care of business this week, which we will go over here shortly. What's sad is the expected win-loss for the Reds is only 3 games behind the Cubs, where they would be 6 games over 500, right? That's how it works. But they finally have a winning record at home. That was something that they needed desperately. They are also still 4.5 games back of the wild card. The Giants and Padres are 4.5 games above them. The Phillies are 5 games above them. But we've played a lot more baseball, especially lately. Some of these teams have not gone through their 10 or their 15 or 17 game stretches, right, without any break. The most frustrating teams lately, the Cardinals have won like a bajillion games out of their last 15 or 20. They are really kind of finding their pace, but almost every one of their wins are at home, Joe. So we'll have to see. They've played a lot of home games lately, so that's why they've been hitting better. The Diamondbacks have been fluctuating a bit. The Braves are starting to kind of claw their way back into it, as we kind of expected. What's been frustrating for me, Joe, is yes, the Reds have done well against the Pirates and the Rockies, the bottom tier. But it's that next tier, the Brewers, the Nationals, the Marlins, the White Sox, right? They are losing to these teams that they should not be losing to. And that is what is killing them right now. You know, it's great that they swept the Guardians. Absolutely fantastic. Reds fans should be pumped. The problem is that they've got to take care of business when they play a team like the Pirates. And then if you can go out and surprise win 2 out of 3 against the Cubs, or, you know, even just get a game off of them while taking care of business against the other teams until kind of this lineup really starts to figure itself out, then you're going to be in a really good spot. But would you say that they are back, Joe? Would you say that they're really kind of back in it? I'm going to be honest. I'll go out and I'll just say yes, but they have to take care of business again this week. They really do.
Can I phrase it a different way?
Go for it.
On your head, if they're making the playoffs right now, you need to pick right now if they're making the playoffs.
I think they finish right outside of it. I think if they had another bat, and when I say right outside of it, I mean we're going to be sitting here agonizing over games like we lost against the White Sox. Like 1 or 2 games back. Like I genuinely think they are better than the Cardinals. I think they are better than the Braves. I know the Braves have been playing better, but I really think that with even just one more bat, this Reds team is better than them. I think even against the Diamondbacks, right? Like the Padres have started to fall off. The Phillies, like these are beatable teams. It's just the Reds aren't doing it. The only teams that I really, truly 100% fear are the Dodgers and the Mets. Like 100%. That's just because they've also spent an inordinate amount of money to have the teams that they have. I think everybody else, the Reds can go toe-to-toe with and or be better than any given day. And I think that's what's tough. I would love to see them find a way into the playoffs, and I think that they would make noise. I think the teams would actually be scared of the Reds because then you have to go against Hunter Green, Lodolo, and probably Abbott, and that is not a fun thing to do, especially with all these teams with big lefty bats. So, sorry, that maybe helps your question there, but...
Yeah, I'm the same way. I think they finished outside of the playoffs. I think right now they're like the 8th or 9th best team in the National League. I disagree. I don't think they're better than anyone in the NL West other than the Rockies, which makes sense because all the teams are above 500 by at least 3 games outside of the Rockies.
Yeah.
And I think the NL East, I do think that the Mets, Phillies, and Braves are better. But that's why we talked about before the season, it's so important to win your division, win these division games that we're going to talk about coming up next with the Pirates and the Cubs. This could really help us.
Yep.
I think that we're better than the Cardinals, even though they are on some... They won 9 in a row at one point. It's crazy. It's just going to come down to us and the Cubs. And... you know, if we can play to our potential, I should say, because right now we're still pretty far behind. But I think that's what the difference is. The Cubs have faced a tougher schedule, and they have taken care of business. Like, they had, like, one of the toughest schedules, and then this last week, they played the Marlins and the White Sox, and they lost 1 game. Now, it's cool. Like, hey, they lost, 4 of 6 to the Mets and Giants. That's going to happen. But if you take care of, like, the other games on your schedule, they won 2 of 3 from the Brewers. They won 2 of 3 from the Pirates. They've the Dodgers somehow too, but like they take care of the teams they're supposed to take care of, and that is something that is admirable about them. I do wonder now that they've had a couple of weeks with the Justin Steele injury, with the Imanaga injury, now when they start playing better teams than the Marlins and White Sox, do they start to wear down? And that gives us a chance to chase. So I still think best chance we have of making the playoffs is to win the Central, even though the Cubs have played really well. It's just going to be exciting to see what we can do because the Cubs are so good offensively this year. 270 runs scored, only behind the Dodgers in the National League. So let's see what happens. Maybe their pitching gives out and just the depth of it gives out here, and the Reds can make a little run.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because there are, like you said, there are teams that have played a lot of good teams, right? The Cubs have played 23 games so far this season just against the West. They're also 8-1 against the AL. Which is pretty wild. What's interesting here for the Reds is it's like we are such a bad extra inning. We are 0-5 in extra innings, right? It's like get one or two of those wins, and this is just a very different season right now. They're weirdly 3-7 against the East. The Braves and the Marlins in particular have been frustrating for them. So I want to see the Reds find a way to if they find some consistency in the lineup, Joe, I do think that they can be that good of a team. It's just, for me, it really comes down to those hitters. Again, I talked about it. It's coming down to Steer. It is coming down to McLean. It is coming down to Ellie. And it is coming down to players like Will Benson and Noelvi Marte. They're young guys. We just need two or three of them. If the other two don't, if they, flame out and we can't use them, then that is what it is. But they've put so much pressure on these guys, they've got to get it done at some point. The only one, again, who I really give a little bit of time to is McLean, mostly just because he did not play a single game last year. He has not even played 162 games yet. I really believe he is going to figure it out. The rest of them, even Ellie to a certain degree, I'm wondering if we're seeing who Ellie really is just going to be right now. He's got many, many years left, but maybe not on this Reds team. So we kind of need him to start figuring it out here over the next couple of years. But that's another conversation. We'll move on, Joe, as we do, to the Pirates. The Reds will yet again miss Paul Skeens. Yay, good for us. Even though he has been more human this year. The Reds will get Mitch Keller. It'll be Nick Lodolo up against him. Nick Martinez versus Bailey Falter, who we absolutely annihilated last time. And then Brady Singer versus Andrew Haney. Haney has been very good. He is expected to be one of, if not the top pitching trade value, in MLB this year. I think the Reds might be able to challenge that with some of their young guys that they could potentially trade from if they need to. But, the rest of this starting, rotation is really not all that great. Mitch Keller has had a pretty Mitch Keller type season. Bailey Falter, the Reds just seemingly hit very well. This bullpen for the Pirates is not very good, Joe. Really whatsoever. O'Neal Cruz has hit a little bit better this year, but Brian Reynolds, who was their big guy who they signed, is hitting 200. Andrew McCutchen has probably been one of their best players. Joey Bart, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, Ke'Bryan Hayes has been a little bit better this year, but has shown no sign of power whatsoever. This is not a very good team. Just frankly, they're starting, a lot of pretty bad players, to be honest with you, Joe. Not even guys that you think might have some potential in the future. I don't know. This is a bad team. I don't know how else to put it. I mean, they just fired their manager as well over the weekend. I don't know. How are you feeling heading into this one?
They're bad. I know we talked about them already this season. There's not much redeeming about this team. There's Paul Skeens is awesome, and they have some other guys in the minors right now who I think will come up and eventually be good. But I think even when Paul Skeens pitches well, he gets losses on his games, which has to be frustrating. I think we saw that with some of our young pitchers over the years. So even though we're dodging Paul Skeens, they're still losing games when he does pitch well.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I'll say is they're getting more out of Andrew McCutchen than I would have thought. This season, that's good. That's good for them. The only thing I can say is the only thing I'm worried about is we face two lefties. Yes, we played well against Falter the last time, but with our track record of being up and down, maybe this time he gets us. So should be a series that we win. It's on the road, so maybe we don't take all three, and the lefties do scare me, but I'll say we take 2 out of 3.
Yeah, I mean, I will say the Reds, I just saw they are 6-7 against lefties this year, which is much better than they were last year. You should expect Connor Joe to get a lot of at-bats. I think Will Benson may not start against them, although he did have a home run against a lefty yesterday, so maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe they will start him. Maybe he's just literally seeing beach balls, so it doesn't matter who's throwing against him right now. But it's going to be an interesting day, or an interesting series. I am going to do the thing I've not done all season, Joe. I'm actually going to predict them to sweep. I'm going to have the good vibes continue rolling. I really think that they can and they should. Lodolo has been awesome this year, right? Nick Martinez had his best start of the season. He has really started to find a groove lately, like in a pretty serious way for this Reds team. We were worried about him at the beginning. He's got a 3.66 ERA, Joe. He's pitching in his last 7 games. He's got a 3 ERA essentially, with 33 strikeouts to 8 walks. This guy has been absolutely outstanding lately. And then, like we've talked about, Brady Singer versus Haney. We were the first team to rough up Andrew Haney, before right earlier on in the season, and he has been not as good since then. His ERA has risen to a 3.5 in his last 7 games. So I think we've got the better bullpen, we've got the better lineup, and we've got our starters going, and our guys are starting to have some confidence. People are starting to hit a little bit better. And if Will Benson stays hot, he'll win at least one of these games for us. The Reds seem to do okay in Pittsburgh as well. I'm feeling okay going 3-0. Let's head into the Cubs, though. This is where it'll be interesting. Luckily, the Reds will get the Cubs at home, like you said, Joe. They are one of the best hitting teams, being led by Pete Crow Armstrong, their young guy who they have brought up. He reminds me a lot of, oh my gosh, who's the kid in Arizona?
Corbin Carroll.
Yes, thank you, Corbin Carroll. He reminds me a lot of him. They have very similar skill sets in my mind. Their swings are very different, but in terms of what they can do, Pete Crow Armstrong's a really good young hitter for this team, and he's going to be leading a team that's been playing well. Dansby Swanson's hitting well. Kyle Tucker is one of my favorite hitters to watch. Carson Kelly has been a huge surprise. I mean, they have almost every one of their starters, even Ian Happ, who is such an up-and-down player. They're almost all batting over 250 right now, something we would kill for at this time. They're bringing back up, I believe it was Matt Shaw as well, with the expectation that they're going to be trading Nicky Lopez, I believe, is what it sounds like. I don't know how much that's going to matter, but apparently that is the way things are looking right now. Their weakness, though, Joe, if they really have one right now, it has been their pitching. The Reds will go up against Matthew Boyd, though. It's looking like it's going to be Green versus Boyd in that first game on Friday. Right, the Reds will have an off day on Thursday, as a reminder. Right now, they have it on ESPN scheduled for Chase Petty, but they skipped him. He didn't even pitch in this last game that he was supposed to during that bullpen game. And then it'll be Andrew Abbott versus Colin Rea, and then Nick Lodolo versus Ben Brown. We are going up against two of their, I would say, more questionable starters, in Ben Brown. Colin Rea has actually been pretty good this year. But this bullpen has been a little shaky at different points as well. But this team's good. I mean, they are playing well above what I think their actual, or what they actually are, to be honest with you, Joe. I think their hitters are good, but I did not expect them to be this good throughout most of the season. I don't really think anybody did. This is going to be a tough one, without a doubt, even at home.
Going to be a tough series, one you would like to win. Pete Crow Armstrong, you mentioned, he is the second best player in baseball this year behind Aaron Judge, at least by position players. If you look at WAR, if you look at pretty much anything, I mean, he has 12 home runs, which I think was surprising to a lot of people as well.
Yep.
That's going to be tough to deal with. And you mentioned the Cubs, and I hate saying this, they're a fun baseball team to watch because they do hit the ball a lot, and they do have several guys who can hit the ball, put it in play, and that is something that I'm very, very, very jealous of with our inconsistent offense. You're right. I mean, the pitching has been good from those guys. Specifically, Brown is the one you have to kind of target, maybe win that game.
Yep.
I wonder if Matthew Boyd and Colin Rea maybe start falling off now. They weren't projected to be great this season, with maybe Steele and Imanaga being the guys that were really relied on. So that's what you're hoping for. I think this is going to be a tough series because our offense will probably at times have to match their offense. And I'm not sure we're capable of doing that all the time. Maybe one game, sure, we can go score 14 runs one game like we always do, but that's what's going to be tough. The key here is going to be getting to the Cubs bullpen. They ranked 19th in bullpen ERA this season, which is, middle of the pack, but for a team that wants to be in the playoffs, it's not the greatest. So I'm going to say 1-2 in the series, Rob. I think they do beat Ben Brown. I think they struggle in the other ones. Like I said, I think the offense is just more consistent for the Cubs, and we don't handle adversity. So if they do get up early, it's hard to see us coming back. This is like the ultimate series, though. I think I had an ultimatum last week. Like this week, I'm going to say, Ellie, I'm challenging you, man. This dude came up. Pico Armstrong, yeah, he's great. He came up and he is past you. He is the second best player in baseball right now. That is something that you have never been, Ellie De La Cruz, for more than a month at a time. So everyone says he's the fastest player in Major League Baseball. Why don't you show me something? Why don't you get hit for the cycle again? Why don't you go hit a triple? Why don't you get some home runs in this and kind of prove that you're better than Pete Crow Armstrong? That's what I would say. This is one where I want LA this series specifically want LA to be locked in to help our offense keep up with them, because I do think he needs to have some pride and say, hey, I'm still here. Yes, Pete Crow Armstrong is good, but I can play too, and that's something that we're gonna need him. We're gonna need him to be. We need him to be just like Pete Crow Armstrong is for the Cubs if we're gonna reach the full potential this year.
Yeah, it's. I think it's an interesting comparison. I think it's one that is pretty fair, honestly. Pete Crow Armstrong struggled last year, I will say. He is, I think, really having his coming out party this year, and we'll have to see if teams start to really adjust to him or if he's really just kind of found it. I think it's going to really depend, Joe, on if Hunter Green is going to pitch on Friday or not. That's really what it's going to come down to for me, because I think the Sunday game, I feel comfortable with Lodolo. I mean, we are sending our three best against them if Green starts. You get Hunter Green, Andrew Abbott, and Nick Lodolo. I think that gives us as good of a chance as any. And I do think, Joe, it's a weird feeling, but this freaking team plays so well at home on Fridays in those City Connect jerseys. They are 3-0 this year on Fridays. I'm going out with a bang right now. I'm going 2-1. I really think that they are going to find a way to win on Friday against Matthew Boyd. I think especially if Hunter Green is back, I think he gives you a chance. I think that he's going to be able to kind of hold down this Cubs lineup. I think our bullpen is better than theirs right now. Obviously, we can't hit as well as them, but if we match that with pitching, then maybe we'll get a couple lucky hits off of Boyd, as we have in the past. I've seen us hit him well. And then I think the Sunday game as well is going to be one where Nick Lodolo comes out. They've not been great in rubber games, right? But I think they go out and they get it done. And I think, the Reds pick up 2 games, I think, on the Cubs this week. So it would be pretty crazy. I feel more comfortable going with 1-2 and 2-1 and the Reds going 500 this week. But I'm trying to be a little more positive. I'm going to put it out there, a 5-1 week for our Cincinnati Reds, and they head into Kansas City, who has been very up and down this season. So, that'll about do it. Joe, you got any words of wisdom, wise words with Joe before we head out of here?
Just some more fun facts. Rhys Hines, 13 of his 15 hits as a major league player have been extra base hits.
Wild.
The only player since 1900 to do that. It's unfortunate that his batting average is 176 and we can't get him more playing time. But hey, we talked about possible lineups, and maybe he's that power bench bat that we have. Who's not going to hit them all very often, but when he does hit it, he goes far. And then the other thing, we're playing Pete Crow Armstrong this week. His mother was an actress. His dad was an actor, too. If you've ever seen the movie Little Big League, it's a classic. Billy Haywood managing the Twins. His mom played Billy Haywood's mom in that movie. So It's kind of like a really cool story about how 2 Hollywood actors had a kid, but there's kind of like a little baseball connection. So if you're looking for something to do in your free time, watch Little Big League this week. It's a classic and a very fun movie.
Wow, I honestly did not know that. I haven't watched that movie in a very long time, but it's a great baseball movie. Another one of those great baseball movies. But that is going to wrap it up for us on this one, guys. We hope you've enjoyed us. Hopefully, the Reds will have a great week this week. Let's go kick some NL Central butt. So, yeah, that'll wrap it up for us on this one. So, we'll catch you on the next one.